So, evening everyone, my name's Mel, and thank you for joining us this evening on what I'm sure will be a great event being hosted by Move Against Cancer. A little bit of background, I was diagnosed with a brain tumour back in December of 2022, and I have also been supported by Move. So, it's a privilege to be hosting on behalf of them tonight and talking to you all as well. For those of you that don't know about the charity, Move Against Cancer has a vision that every person impacted by cancer can live an active and fulfilling life through initiatives like 5K Your Way, the online program, which I'm sure we will touch upon further tonight, the Movement Hub podcasts, and even in-person events. So before we carry on, I'm just going to get the boring bit out the way. So this is a live Q&A and it will finish at 7 p.m. You can ask questions through the chat or come on the mic, engage in this in put my teeth back in, engage in the discussion, whichever way you feel most comfortable doing. It's entirely it's this is your event as much as it is like for us hosting it, so please do feel free to get involved. But we do understand that it can be a sensitive topic, so we are encouraging participation, but without the pressure. I'm sure you'll take something away from it one way or another, whether you come off the mic, stay off the mic, it's entirely up to you guys. But we will it's these teeth again. We will mute microphones if there is any feedback and stuff. So please don't be alarmed if we do mute you. And we are recording this session, so we hope everyone is okay with that. So moving on to the good part. On the panel tonight, we have Abs, who's been through the online program. Give us a wave, Abs. Say hello.
Hello, guys. Hello. Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I'm interested to speak to people, but also give my experience as well.
Perfect. Thanks, mate. We'll come back to you in a minute. We have Anna, who is a cancer rehab instructor for Move. Give us a wave, Anna. Here we go. There she is. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, I'm Anna. I am cancer rehab specialist, as Mel said, with Move, and I work primarily on the online program for young people. So delivering bespoke one-to-one physical activity programs to help people living with or recovering from cancer.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anna. And we have Lucy Gossage, who is an oncologist, co-founder of 5K Your Way and Move Against Cancer trustee. Do you want to introduce yourself, Lucy?
Hi, yeah, well, you've just done it. Yeah. I'm an oncologist, but super passionate about the work that we do at Move. I treat sarcomas and germ cell tumors, so I work with a lot of younger people, and yeah, love what the charity does.
Perfect. So let's get into our panel discussion, and we will go from there. If anyone has any questions, feel free to just pop them in the chat or give us a wave, and we'll try and jump in as soon as we can. So, Abs, Anna, and Lucy, we know that evidence is now clear and growing about exercise and cancer. Exercising during cancer reduces cancer-related fatigue, reduces the side effects of treatment, and reduces the risk of cancer coming back and helps you to live a longer and more fulfilling life. So, I guess my question to you guys, first of all, is why is movement important for young people with cancer? Feel free to go in any order.
I think Abs, you should go first because actually what matters really is how it impacts a young person.
Yeah, so my name is Abs, and I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in September 2020. And obviously, when you are told that you do have cancer, it could be very much a process that you have to go through, and it could be very scary. And you are trying to figure out what you can and what you can't do, but you'll be the process of, you know, these are the things you can do where they give you a program, but you're also speaking to someone, and the speaking can be quite a part where it's really important where you are working alongside someone and getting that advice. But it gave me the motivation, it kept me positive, and it gave me a bit of a purpose. Sometimes when you're going through that tough journey, knowing the reasons to get up and have things to do. And I think having move and having exercise in your life, it does really give you that that positive thing that you need during a very tough journey.
Thanks for sharing that, mate. Anyone else fancy going next? Anna, Lucy?
Yeah, I think for me, we see time and time, we could speak all day about the evidence, the growing evidence base around the physical benefits of physical activity when we're going through a cancer experience. But the things that I see from day to day are really reflected in what Abs just said, and that's taking back control of your physical health, which has actually potentially felt out of control for a short time or a long time, or whatever that looks like for the individual. Taking back control and doing something positive and feeling on top of that is what I see first and foremost as the huge benefits that come from physical activity with a cancer experience. I'd love, after we've all had a little bit of a chat about it, if anyone feels comfortable to tell us why, if at all, or why physical activity has been important in their journey, because I think for the vast majority of people, despite talking about the great benefits of like greater function in day-to-day life, being able to carry your shopping up to the second floor flat, which you weren't able to do when you finished treatment, for example, or go back roller skating with your friends or something like that, which are amazing. And that's that identity piece, losing who you were because you're not able to do those things, and then coming back to that, which is what physical activity can help with. But those mental health benefits, I really believe on a par or, surpass the physical benefits of movement.
Yeah, I'd like to just add to that about the well-being side of things, and I'm happy to be honest. And in them early couple weeks when you are diagnosed, for myself, my anxiety, I never knew much about anxiety, or tuned into why you may feel a certain way. But lucky enough, I was lucky enough to have my family, but my consultant as well to speak to, and say, oh, my heart's racing. Why is my heart racing so much? Is it the treatment? Is it this? Is it that? And they said one of the reasons why you feel like your heart's racing and your head's going a lot is that you're just overthinking things, and you are, thinking, oh, when am I going to go back to work? When am I able to be do this? And Move, it giving me the chance to say that, Abs, you can do some press ups today, and you can do a couple of squats. It really did help with my well-being, and giving me that purpose. That I think that is the key thing when you are going through that purpose, that cancer can take a lot of things away that you used to do, but then having that thing back, it does give you that motivation to give it a good fight.
And I guess, oh, sorry.
No, you
go. I was at which I put my hand up. I was going to say, one of the things that I see that I love so much about Move, because as Anna said, we can talk about the evidence, but that's really important. But actually, that's not what Move's about. Move's about what matters to the young person, and I think we're really different from other exercise programs. A lot of the support we offer, it always includes some kind of movement, but the movement's often secondary to everything that goes along with it. And some of the things, I think, Mel, I remember when you talked to me about your experience, it was a big part of it was having those one-to-one chats. And it's really, I think everyone that works for me always tries to find out actually what matters to the young person, what are their biggest fears, and what do they really want some support to get back into. It's not how quick can you run a 10K, or how many sit to stands can you do, or like that is so far from what we do at Move. I can see Mel smiling.
No, 100%. And you've all covered it in like such a good way. But like what you've just said there, Lucy, about, when we first met, it was on one of the first annual treks, and it was the Yorkshire Three Peaks. And for me, that was 9 months after I had a craniotomy. So it was like still early days for me in terms of like recovering and stuff. But I'd been through the online program then, and I went to the Yorkshire Three Peaks on my own, and I kind of just went because I knew like people from the charity were going to be there that I kind of knew through like the grapevine and things. And then when I eventually got there, I kind of then realized that it wasn't about the movement, it was about being involved and, kind of developing those relationships. And, exercise helps you meet people. It is fun, but at the end of the day, it does increase that confidence that you've lost after a diagnosis. I lost my job, I lost my house and everything. And, at the time I couldn't go to karate and I couldn't move and things like that. And it really like put me on a downer. And then when I eventually found Move and started exercising and like helping myself in my physical health, as well as it was in turn helping me with my mental health as well. And I think that's such a big thing, especially after a cancer diagnosis. It is difficult to kind of move on with it, but being surrounded by other people whilst exercising that kind of get it kind of helps to move on from that, I guess.
I think it's that permission, isn't it, to from somebody who, just to tell you, actually, you can do that. Abs, you were saying, actually, you can do press ups today and it's not damaging for you. And in fact, it's going to have this benefit. Mel, I think when you said you were not able to go to karate, and I'm sure
Yeah.
as well, a lot of your social circle was probably there if you'd been there for quite a long time. And then all of a sudden you feel out of that loop as well. And so rebuilding your strength and bringing you back to be able to do those things, and the confidence to be able to do those things is just huge. It's that identity piece. But I think it is worth saying that, we all speak about the amazing mental health benefits and physical health benefits. It's not progress, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, as we go along a little bit more, but progress isn't linear. And it's really, really important from a physical perspective and a mental perspective to meet yourself where you're at. Because just recently, I've been working with lots of young people, and one of them was making great progress week on week on week. And then all of a sudden her brother came to visit and she couldn't keep up with him. And she felt like she'd been making such great progress, but they couldn't do the things that they used to do. They couldn't do paddleboarding. And then she just regressed ever so slightly because she realized actually what she had lost during that cancer experience and how much she had to gain to come back. So it's worth saying that, wherever you're at on your physical activity movement journey, if it's feeling great one week, it's okay that it does, and it's okay to be, disappointed that it doesn't go great all the time. Just be kind with yourself, and that consistency is better than the intensity piece. And I don't want to bring a downer onto all the positive things that we were speaking about, but if you're sitting there thinking, actually, I'm not feeling all these amazing benefits and I'm doing my best, that's okay too. It's part of the process almost.
I totally agree with that. Lucky with the program, you do get to speak to someone, so you throughout that process, if you feel like, oh yeah, I've had a good couple of weeks, but then you've got someone to speak to and say, oh, actually, I'm struggling with this, and they say, yeah, don't worry, this is part of the journey. It's not going to be a journey where it's all the way climbing up that mountain. There will be dips throughout it, but it was a great thing that I was lucky enough to have that. And just you guys talking about it's all coming back to me, because it has been a little while for me since being on the program, but I got resistance bands from with Move, and they not just give you a program, but they give you images and show you how you do certain things. So it's giving you that full package, and I feel like anyone that is coming into it, they're going to take you for whatever level you are, wherever your progression is. They're there to support you.
Just because we are quite a small group, guys, please do, if you have questions, please do jump in, and if you feel comfortable, either in the chat if you don't want to speak, or just put your hand up, because we can tailor what we're talking about very much to you guys, particularly because we're quite small. So please don't be nervous. Was that your hand, Ishan?
Yes, I was trying to like find the button here. I was like, okay, this is gonna be very inspiring and glad to be here. So um I run an organization called Travel Hands. We help visually impaired people, or VIP as we fondly refer, find volunteers in a Uber-like manner, and match them so they can go out and travel safely, easily. Um, and we have been there in London for about 4 years, 1,500 journeys and so on. And then last year, Macmillan Cancer Support reached us out, and we they asked us to do a feasibility study project on cancer patients who are also visually impaired. What are the challenges? How can we, well, help them? And we have been doing that feasibility study. And well, the biggest challenge I've found out is lack of movement. I mean, they haven't been able to like find ways to, I mean, anyway, a VIP is not able to move as freely, but a cancer patient or cancer recovered patient, it just becomes a lot for them, and they don't go out, they don't really do any kind of physical activity and so on. So I think there is something maybe we can do work on. But if you have in your network any other visually impaired person who has gone through cancer, if there's any other way we can help them in terms of accessibility and so on, so happy to help.
Great to hear about that. Yeah, can you put your organization in the chat so we've got it? Thank you.
Does anyone want to jump in? How they feel in terms of exercise after a diagnosis or during their treatment? If not, we can move on. No? Okay. So I think one thing that hasn't been spoken about yet either is when you do the online program, or if you do the online program, you also get a 8 week. No, sorry, the program's 8 weeks, but you also get a free gym membership to Pure Gym, and you have access to that for a year. So that you can either then do your program in the gym, or the program is totally tailored to you. So I guess that's an important thing to touch upon as well. Don't be thinking, oh, I don't have any space or things like that, or I might get nervous in terms of like, I can't do this or I can't do that. Like, you guys, it's entirely catered around you specifically and your needs, based upon how you're feeling that day and things like that. So moving on. 2 seconds. Moving on. So
Now, can I just jump in really quick? It is
yeah,
also
go for it.
worth saying that if the gym isn't your thing, it doesn't have to be that. So many people, not necessarily with a cancer experience, but oh, thank you, Shan. Not necessarily with a cancer experience, but just generally in day-to-day lives. You hear people in conversations, don't you? I've got to go to the gym and I've got to go for a run. You do not. There are so many ways to move. And I alluded to earlier about roller skating with your friends. I've supported a girl because all she wanted to do was to get back to roller skating on a Thursday night with her friends and be able to do the full session again. And she wasn't interested in going in the gym, so that's okay. So we focused on some things that would support that goal and actually building up her stamina for roller skating. And so it doesn't have to look like the gym. Movement can be throwing a ball for the dog, or walking the dog, or dancing in the kitchen, or whatever that looks like for you.
That's the thing, isn't it, Anna? And you touched on it before when you said uh movement and like progress isn't linear, especially after a diagnosis. Things can look very different for different people. And, even if you've had the same diagnosis or the same treatment, what works for one person might not work for another. So I guess that's important to touch upon as well. But in terms of movement, how do you think people kind of like know when is a good time to get involved with Move? Like, how do they access that? What does that look like? I don't know if you want to talk about the online program apps in terms of how you found it, and your experience with Move in terms of those 8 week sessions and how it kind of progressed. And just kind of, yeah, I don't know if Lucy, you want to come in and talk about the benefits of cancer, when people should start, when people prehab and post-hab and all of it, whatever you want to call it.
So one thing I would quite like to touch on, which I think is really important actually, is fatigue. Because that is massive for people who are undergoing cancer treatment. But actually, I think one of the things that I see, obviously, I haven't had cancer, but one of the things I see is that when you're going through cancer treatment, it's almost expected that you're going to be tired. But when people finish cancer treatment, you kind of expect you're going to start to feel better, and everyone around you expects that you're going to start to feel better. But that fatigue can last so much longer, and cancer fatigue, it's not like normal tiredness that we've had a late night or we've been burning the candle at both ends. It's really unpredictable, it's really unrelatable, it doesn't seem to make sense. Sleeping, resting more doesn't seem to make it better, and that's one of the things that a lot of my patients, when they finish treatment, find really, really frustrating because it impacts all aspects of life. And the one thing we do know is that movement and exercise is actually one of the best ways to mitigate that fatigue. But it's really counterintuitive, because the last thing you think that would help with fatigue is going out and going for a walk. And I just thought I'd raise that, as because that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions that we see, that actually if you're tired, that's probably not the right time to exercise. Actually, it probably is the time to start, but that's probably when you need support, and you need to build it up gradually and work out ways to move that are going to reduce that fatigue rather than increase it. So I just thought I'd jump in and make that point before we talk about the online program.
I'd like to add to that as well, because we all know, well, I've been there when you've been in the hospital for the day, and you know that it takes a day or two, or maybe that next day, that you'll start to feel a lot of the treatment starting to affect you. But we all know when you feel a bit tired, so you don't feel like you have to just do it because, oh, today's day one and I have to get something done. As Lucy mentioned, that you can do something really small, like maybe, oh, actually, I might just change the bed today and see how I get on with that, and then after you have, depending on your cycle, but my cycles were every 3 weeks, but I knew once I got to halfway through the cycle, I am gonna, start to feel a lot more energy, and I can really crack on with the program and start to do a bit more. And then when I do speak to move again, actually, this is how I did A, B, and C, and you can start to pick up a bit of a pattern. But once you have, stopped your treatment and you're having a break, is just, having that conversation and listening to your body. There will be days that you feel like you've got the energy and you want to go for a walk, and then you want to come back and go to the gym. And then there might be days when you don't want to do nothing. So it's finding that balance between the two, but just listening to yourself and your body.
And having someone to support and guide you, because it can be quite scary, I think, when you've suddenly finished treatment and hospital appointments stop, and then everyone around you often seems to kind of, life's moved on, or you start to look more like you did before your cancer treatment, and you're no longer having those appointments, and it can be quite hard to know how to start moving. And that's one of the things that the program can be really helpful with. And we say moving because it's for very few. I mean, it was for you, Abs. You were very sporty, doing lots of stuff before, but actually for a lot of people, it's not exercise, it's movement.
That's correct.
But it can be if you are super sport. And we had someone who was like a world-class dancer who really wanted to get back into world-class dancing as soon as they could. So it's very different for everybody.
What do you think about that, Anna, from coming from representing, shall we say, the cancer rehab specialist? So you're obviously one of the people that would be on the program. So one of these young people could end up with you as a cancer rehab instructor. How do you guide that based on obviously individual basis?
Yeah, it's really important initially to get to know the person, for me. And that's one of the beautiful things about what we do here at Move, is that it is so individualized and it is so bespoke, and we're not all working with 20 young people at one time, because in that way, if you are, you lose that personalized element. You don't know what somebody's dog's called and you don't know what they're up to on Wednesday or whatever else. But if you do, you can give them that personalized touch, and actually you have the time to give to that person to find out a little bit more about them, what their lifestyle is like, what they do like, what they don't like. And actually what you alluded to earlier, what are we ready for at this moment? And we can assess that at the start in general, but we can assess that from week to week as well. As Ab said, we might potentially say to somebody, let's try for a couple of short walks this week, and we'll try and do 2 home sessions with your resistance bands, let's just say, for an example. And that week it might have gone really, really well, and they felt really, really energized, and they hit all the exercises and they all felt great, and they did a session with you as well, which sometimes we do online face to face if that's what people want to do. And then the following week it might not go so well, or they might have new exercises that they didn't like, or something else. And actually being able to have those touch points with your instructor throughout the week as well, and just say, oh, I've just tried this isn't going so well, is there anything you can suggest? Or I was planning to go swimming today, but this has happened, what do you suggest that we do instead? Shall I move it to a different day? You've got that person to call upon. Does that answer your question? We can be very adaptable based on how people are feeling from day to day, because of the nature of what we do, because of the nature of cancer treatment. One day you might feel great, and actually what Lucy said earlier about fatigue, one day we might feel great. We have to really try, and one of the things that we do is really try and guide and avoid what we call the boom and bust cycle, which you might have heard of. Is you feel fabulous one day, you try and do everything, and you can't do anything for the next 3 days. So what we do is we work with people to increase that threshold ever so slightly until we find that sweet spot for you, where we're improving your fatigue, but we're not going too high. And over time, we can increase that threshold so that you can do what you feel like you used to, perhaps. But, or even maybe if you want to feel fitter, that's fine too. We can work towards that. But I think the adaptable nature of what we do in the online program is the answer to your question, I think.
And Mel, one of the questions you touched on that I don't think we answered was, when's the right time to go on the program?
Yeah.
I guess the key thing is a time where you're relatively stable. So you don't need to have finished your treatment. For a lot of people, if they have got a definitive treatment and they've finished their treatment, that's a good time. If you're having ongoing treatment, then a good time is when you're stable on that treatment, because it's hard to bring a new program in if treatments are changing and your body's and your mind's not quite used to the new routine. And I'm just wondering, Sophie, I don't know if you want to talk, because the other way that some people use a program is as prehab before a more intensive treatment. So if you know that you've got some surgery, or in Sophie's situation, a stem cell transplant, something that really is really intensive, some people say, well, actually the program, and Sophie describes it as prehab, used it as prehab before your CAR T cell therapy. So there are different times, but I think the key thing is being stable. I just thought we've got Sophie's experience, so why not bring
it
you
in the
in?
last minute? Yeah, so you're absolutely right. I used it as like a prehab, and I have to say it was the best thing I ever did, because I genuinely believe it cut down my inpatient time. So when I was sort of having chats with the medical team, they were saying you can expect to be in hospital as an inpatient for around 6 weeks. But obviously depends on how you are. It could be 4 weeks, could be 8 weeks. But I would say about 6 weeks. So I was like, right, okay. And then obviously I did the program, and I was only in for 2 weeks, because I was actually like I felt like I dealt with the side effects a lot better, but I was actually keeping myself moving. Had quite a relatively big um room. It was in the Christie in Manchester, and the treatment room I had actually was quite spacious. So I managed to do like light yoga. I had a little pedal bike thing in the room as well. So just trying to keep my legs moving. I do, if I had a particular day where I was feeling maybe not up to doing a stand-up yoga workout, I'd do maybe some chair-based or bed-based exercises. Tried to get, make sure that I was getting up and showers and dressed and things every day. Similar to what you said before, Abs, about, getting up, can you change your bed today? Just doing simple things like getting up and getting in the shower and trying to look after yourself in that way as well. Um, so for me, I do believe that keeping that routine, even while I was in hospital as an inpatient, was just key to basically cutting that time down. I say 2 weeks. And then when I actually got home, it was really nice to feel quite well rather than getting home and then feeling unwell, which, previous treatments I'd had, that's how I felt. It almost felt like your journey was just beginning the minute you went home, whereas this was different. This felt like, well, actually, what can I do? And it was fortunate that when I was treated, it was the year we had lockdown and the weather was amazing. So I was in the garden every day, like playing badminton, and I think just keeping moving and as best I could. And my recovery from that, I sort of avoided infections and things. Obviously, COVID, like shielding and things came into that, but I do believe just by keeping myself moving, doing loops, like walking around the house, like out the back door, down the side, round again. And I do think it just kept me sane. I will say that definitely improved my mental health, but physically to recover much quicker than I thought and much quicker than I think my medical team anticipated was just a huge bonus. So yeah, just shows the power of prehab really.
And the science would actually support what you felt. I think that the science shows that even really quite small amounts of exercise can have and I use the word exercise in this scenario, can actually have a big impact in terms of how quickly people recover from surgery. So even like a couple of weeks of prehab is the phrase they use before a big operation. There were really good studies showing that reduces the amount of time people need to stay in hospital. So I think what you're saying is actually probably backed by the science as well. But we don't need science at Move. We're all about what matters to people.
And now you work for Move as well, don't you, Soph?
I do, yes, fundraising manager, and here facilitating tonight. So that's lovely.
Insane.
Full circle moment.
No, thank you for sharing that, Soph, and
That's okay.
thank you for encouraging her to come on the microphone, Lucy, and share some part of that as well. But no, 100%. And like a few, I think it was last year, Sophie, we done or was it the year before, Edale?
Yes, we
The year
did.
before, wasn't it?
21 long miles together.
But just to be able to do that together, and with a load of other young people and people that kind of understood where we were coming from in terms of like, oh, I'm struggling now, or I've got no gas left, or whatever it might be. Everyone was helping everyone together, and I think that kind of loops round back nicely to 5K Your Way. And 5K Your Way occurs on the last Saturday of every month in the park, and it attaches onto the back of Park Run. If you look at Move's website, you can actually find your nearest park run. If you go to Move Against Cancer, and then there's a drop down for 5K Your Way, and then find your local event, you can find the nearest one to you, and you can go down, and there's volunteers there, so you'll see all of their 5K Your Way, Move Against Cancer things, and they will support you, help you no matter what. So 5K Your Way happens on the last Saturday of every month, and for me, I've been to a few in Liverpool, but for me that is more of a community event rather than like you don't have to run it, you can walk it, you can do it over 3 hours if you want, it doesn't matter, but it's about that sense of community again. And I feel like Move has such a strong sense of community, be it through that relationship that you have with your Move Against Cancer rehab instructor, whoever it may be, or be it through the community at 5K Your Way, or be it through the events that you guys do, the Three Peaks, Edale, there's one coming up in a few weeks, the Roaches Ramble, and that is happening in
2nd of May.
The 2nd of
Stafford,
May, the
Staffordshire, the
Peak
Peak
District.
District, on the 2nd of May. Thank you very much.
Changes lives, doesn't it, Mel? That's where
It
you and I
does.
met.
It does. That's how we met indeed. But yeah, if has anyone been to the 5K Your Way local event yet? No? I can see Amy shaking her head. Beth, no? No? Okay. Abs, have you been to yours?
No, I haven't. But what I did,
No!
what I did use during my when I was trying to, do the 5K, you've got the Couch to 5K app. So I used a lot of that to get to build myself up, and I think that's another useful too if anyone does want to use that as well.
One thing I would say about 5K, and Mel touched on it, but just emphasize it, because it's linked to Park Run, people think, oh, it's a running group. Oh, no, it's not for me. And it's so not a running group. So some people do run it. A lot of people walk it. In Nottingham, where I am, I would say probably half the people walk it. A lot of people don't do the whole 5K. They just do a little bit. Some people just come for a coffee, and it's all ages. And what I see that is actually really lovely is, and I see this with sport club of all kinds of sport clubs, but age and background and how much money you earn and how educated you are, all of that goes out the window when you meet a group of people outside doing something together. And in Nottingham, we've got some younger people who come and some older people who they call themselves the grannies, but it doesn't matter. Everyone supports each other and everyone gets what it's like to have been through cancer treatment or going through cancer treatment. And so it's the walking or the running, if you want to run, is really the excuse for the community. The community is what is the most important part of that. That's in my opinion.
You sold it to me. I'm gonna have to try and look
Come
for my
down to
local one.
Nottingham come to Nottingham. You're Loughborough. Come to Nottingham one day
Yes,
and see what we're
yes.
about. I think you'd
I'll
love
have
it.
to add it. I'll have to add it into one of my goals for this year to definitely
There's
come.
one
'Cause
this weekend.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
one this weekend.
I was just about to say, lucky for you, Abs.
Yeah.
There's
But
one
but
this
but
Saturday.
but, but it's a great point about the community, having people in your situation or just there for that movement journey. It really does help you along. You don't feel like you're going through it yourself, which I think is a really key point.
And while we're on community, it's worth saying that with 5K Your Way, you don't have to have had a cancer experience. You can go if you're impacted by cancer in any way. And I think that's all of us. Isham's got it through his work life in some way. We've got it through our personal lives in some way. You might have a friend who's living with cancer. You might work in cancer spaces. If you're impacted by cancer in any way, you can go and join that community. And just a community piece about the online program as well. We spoke about it building people back up to go and join their social circles again and things like that. But just something that popped into my mind, if somebody is doing the online program, and we're not here to sell our programs or anything like that, we're here to chat about the benefits of movement with cancer. But if it is on your radar to do something like that, but you're unsure about going to the gym on your own, but that's something that you would like to do, then we can provide Pure Gym memberships for a support person for you as well. Because like you said, it's being able to move with other people is huge, and there's great research around like building relationships with people, stronger relationships with people that you do physical activity with, because of the hormones that are released and all that kind of stuff. So yes to the community piece.
I think as well, it comes down to that sense of community, but also feeling like people are understanding kind of like where you're coming from. So people at 5K Your Way, like, they get it, they've been through it, or they might know someone that's been through it as well. And it kind of provides that safe space to kind of feel seen and feel heard within a community. Having a diagnosis is a very isolating time, but there are communities out there, and Move is definitely one of them on my list for building friendships and kind of what's the word? Creating that sense of belonging again. You know, when I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, I kind of went a bit off piste a bit and kind of didn't really understand what it meant, and it was the whole that oh woe is me type thing. But then when I found a community that understood, I kind of realized that, you know, I just needed to find my people. And you know, the events that these guys host and the program especially like helped me massively, and that really helped me regain my confidence and things. And I think if it wasn't for the online program, you know, I wouldn't have dreamed of doing the Yorkshire Three Peaks or any of the crazy events that they put on. But thanks to you guys, you know, and I'm sure thousands of other people will say it as well, you know, we're back up on our feet after a diagnosis, and, you know, we are really kind of not moving on with it, but coming to terms with it and being able to stay active and stay healthy and kind of be more aware of listening to our bodies and things like that. So thank you for providing that space for young people as well, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely want to add to that because whenever I go for a walk now, that there's a certain spot where I could never get to when I was at the start of being diagnosed. But every time I walk past it, I'm like, wow, look how far I came. So I'm a really strong advocate that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So wherever you are in your journey and how many little steps you take, you will eventually get there. And you're not going to be there by yourself. People will carry you and take you there. So the team here are, you know, when getting better and getting back into work, when the guy said, oh, do you want to do this, I'm like, yes, because you guys helped me through my darkest period. So any sort of lights I can share, you will eventually get there. But the guys here are amazing.
Oh, make me feel all warm and fuzzy. The only other comment I'd make about 5K Your Way is it can be quite a nice thing for families to be part of, and friends to get involved with, because I think families often feel a bit helpless when they're trying to support someone going through cancer, and they can actually get that support network as well. So yeah, that can be quite a nice side of it. We've got some young people who come to Nottingham Group with their families, and actually it's quite nice because the mums have all become friends and they go and do their own thing, and the young people go and do their own thing. They don't walk very far. They walk a little bit and go and have a coffee, but that's fine.
It becomes that peer support aspect
Yeah,
for the family as well as the young people, I guess, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to add anything else, Anna?
I don't think so, not unless you had a specific question. I'd love to hear if anybody would like to share their experience with physical activity or community and physical activity or anything we've spoken about today, then go for it. Or any questions, that's what it's all about. But you go for it, Mel.
Can be quite daunting, can't it?
But the main thing is you guys are here. I've I was just in Liverpool today. I was away for a conference related to young people and students, and
Oh, you could have come round for a cup of tea.
I know,
I was just
I
about to
know.
say.
Yeah, it was very busy conference. I was in and out 2 days, but we had students come to a conference full of people from different universities. But being here right now and actually tuning in, you are it's well done wanting to try and get to that process. So being here and maybe not having the confidence to ask a question, there's nothing wrong with that. But if anything that's come to your head, ask away.
Anyone put anything in the chat? No? Okay, so I think we might end up finishing this a little bit early. But honestly, like the discussion tonight has seriously blown me away. Like some of the things that I've learned tonight has been incredible. So thank you so much to Abs, Lucy, and Anna for being so incredible with your experience and your expertise. Lucy, do you have a question?
I was going to say, do we need to just say how you refer? So we could pop a link in the chat maybe, shall we?
Yeah.
If you're not on treatment, you can refer yourself, so you don't need a healthcare professional. If you're on treatment, you need your CNS or your oncologist or someone who knows you to do your referral. With 5K Your Way, you can just turn up. So yeah, but if you want to reach out to someone before the meetup, then I think all the groups, is this still right, Gillian? I've got a contact email for one of the ambassadors. So all the groups are led by people who've been impacted by cancer, so they're all volunteers. But yeah, I often think the hardest thing is taking the plunge and signing up to something. But yeah, as you said, Abs, well done for turning up and listening for 45 minutes.
Huge thank you to Move for actually hosting this event tonight. And again, thank you to you guys for coming along and listening in, and hopefully you've managed to take something away from it as well. So a few final things from me. If you have any questions which you haven't asked tonight, or didn't feel comfortable to ask, then again, please email them over to Move. I'm sure someone will pop the email in now. I think it's onlinesupport@movecharity.org. If it's not already in the chat, maybe it will be soon. A reminder that this Saturday is the last Saturday of the month, which means 5K Your Way is happening all over the country this weekend. To find your local 5K Your Way, there is information on the Move website. So again, Move website, 5K Your Way, and then click on the drop down to find your local event. The next in-person event, which we touched on before, is happening on Saturday, the 2nd of May, the Roaches Ramble in the Peak District. Again, you can find more information about that on the website or via Instagram, I think would probably be the best bet. And there's 2 routes that you can sign on to that. You can sign on for an 18-kilometre route or a 30-kilometre route. So the choice is yours.
And it will be the most uplifting. It's amazing, isn't it? It's just a group of silver lining people, group of yes people.
I'm actually gutted I can't make it. I can't make it this year. But yeah, hot off the press, one last thing before I hop back to Anna. Move are starting to host a new podcast, which is being hosted by young people who've had cancer, covering topics such as movement and cancer, movement and stamina, and fatigue. I could list even more, but I'm not going to. I don't want to give away too much. So please do keep an eye out for that as well. And thanks again for joining us, and hopefully we will see you soon. Anna, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that you obviously gave out the email address that comes to me. And so if you did have any questions that I can answer, or if I can't, I can forward them on or signpost you to somebody that can. But if it's not too late to speak up. If you're experiencing any particular barriers with physical activity, and that can be motivation, I can't be bothered, that kind of thing, that is still a really legitimate barrier. So if you're experiencing any barriers at the moment to physical activity that you would like us to address either now, or you would like us to try and tackle with you at a later date, then please just send an email. And there was something else I was going to say, but I've forgotten it now. But as soon as Abs starts to speak,
I was going to say, do you want me to go to Abs first? Then?
Or as soon as we log off the call, I'll remember it anyway.
Yeah. Just to go on the podcast, because I'm interested in just to listen in. Is it any just like Spotify, or is it just the podcast app on Apple? Where can we go to
I think it will be on Spotify and hopefully Apple as well.
Music,
but keep an eye out. I'm sure it'll.
Yeah.
We'll try and get it.
I need to know about this. You need to tell me about it.
We'll try and get it everywhere.
Yeah.
But
There's
yeah,
also opportunities if you'd like to, if
be
we've got
involved.
any young people on the call or specialists in certain areas to get involved in the podcast as well. And so watch out on social media for those opportunities too.
Is that what you were going to say, Anna?
Potentially, I don't think so.
Does anyone want to add anything else before we come to a close?
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah,
Well done
thank you so
well
much.
done for rocking up.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Even though you guys haven't said anything, I can tell by your smiles that it's been a nice experience.
And if you live in Nottingham, please come to the Nottingham 5K Your Way group, because we're awesome. They're utterly crazy, but they're amazing. Right.
Ishan, did you want to add something?
Happy to chat with Anna, like maybe 2 minutes, just to share. Like, I mean, I would love to have this program for our community members who are facing cancer. So, but how can we make it accessible for, VIPs? What we do is we match people, sighted people, and VIPs to go on walks. So happy to chat more with you guys. I mean,
I reckon you guys should have a chat offline, have a proper chat, because I think
Yeah,
it sounds like
Ishan,
there's loads of scope. That's definitely something that we should explore properly.
yeah, absolutely. Ishan, my email is in the chat, so if
yeah,
you just send an email to that
I've
one, then
emailed you already. Yes.
we'll link up. Oh, amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I'll look forward to that, because when somebody refers into the program or whatever that looks like, we discuss any further support that they might need, and that could be from their support person that obviously you match them up with, but we would be very mindful. I mean, as you well know, with cancer treatment, people quite often or sometimes lose sight in one or both sides. And there are ways and means, if it's going for a walk with a support person, that's something that we can talk about building confidence to build up to every week. But equally, it could be things in the house if that's what they're comfortable with. Start really small and build up, because it just adds that extra layer of complexity to that person's experience. So yeah, absolutely, super keen to chat about how we can work together.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, and I also just last little point. I remember in the early times when I was starting the program, there tends to be a stigma that you can't do or move or certain things that are restricting you. You'll be very surprised with the moment you start to do certain things that you really will pick things up. So if anyone here feels like there's that thing out there where you say, oh, you've got cancer, you can't do this, you can't do that. You'll be with the guys here, they will guide you, but your body will also start to pick things up, and you'll be very surprised with the amount of things you actually can do.
Very good point to finish
And
on.
I think, sorry,
This is the longest finish ever.
something else just came to my mind. Equally, if you feel physically able, if you feel quite a way out of your cancer journey, experience, whatever you want to call it, if you feel quite a way out of that and think, oh, actually, I'm able to do all of these things that they're talking about today, and so this isn't for me, we work with all sorts of different people, and if you're experiencing anything, so that might be a small amount of residual cancer related fatigue, it might be just something really, really light touch. The program isn't always 8 weeks for people anymore. If they need a little bit more, then we can extend it ever so slightly. If they need a lighter touch, that's okay too. We've worked with semi-professional footballers that are back in full training and doing some matches, but are just trying to manage a little bit of fatigue or don't feel like they were firing on all cylinders as they were before. So if you're feeling physically able, if you're feeling like you're quite a way out of your treatment, then we can still support you in some way if you've got any questions.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Anna. Thanks again, guys, for coming along, and yeah, hopefully we will see you all again soon.